coming at you live from all over Ohio. A Cleveland Browns podcast full of laughs, rants, fun, and stats. A place where all Browns fans' voices are welcome and heard. A show that aims to inform and entertain you. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Barking Browns Show.
Happy Thursday evening to you all. Welcome into episode 112 of the Barking Brown Show. I'm Jacob. That is Nick. We're brought to you, as always, by our friends over at Homage Apparel. Nick's got the shirt that I have donned quite a bit on this show. He's got the classic Brownie the Elf. I got the stiff arm Brownie the Elf.
Yeah.
And we're also giving away a pair of Homage shirts right now. If you go over to our twitter.com, at network_216, if you want to check that out, we're giving away one of the Hall of Fame game shirts as well as another Homage shirt of your choice. If you want to check out Homage's awesome Cleveland Browns collection, there's a link in the description down below if you're on the YouTube. If you want to get in on all of our rumors and discourse, that's the word I couldn't find, the rumors, the discourse, as well as all of our great betting team, all of their bets every day, you can check out our Discord. It's $10 a month for the VIP section, which comes with the rumors as well as the betting, and you'll win your money back, because I know I have. So you can check that out. That's a link down in the description down below. So Homage, Discord, us. Check us out here. If you just want to give us a little bit of money, you can join the YouTube and give us $2.99 a month and just I don't know, give me more popsicles or something like that. I don't really know.
A cool little badge next to your name, and we get to see it every time, and you get to feel cool. We get to feel cool. Everybody wins. But I'll tell you, I dropped the ball because I have the Homage Joe Thomas shirt, which, with the Hall of Fame game and the whole enshrinement stuff. So I promise you, I will be wearing it next week to show it off, because we are officially 1 week away. The Browns just tweeted a little bit before we went live that to the minute we are 1 week away from Cleveland Browns football.
Yeah, the Joe Thomas. He's right there over my right shoulder there. The Joe Thomas bobblehead that they gave away after his streak officially ended at 10,363 consecutive snaps played. So we got that going on over there. The enshrinement will be next Saturday. So the game's on Thursday. The enshrinement ceremony is on the 5th, which is next Saturday. I don't know, man. Maybe we'll do a special show or something.
Maybe we'll get a little spicy. Have a little extra for you.
And we'll jump on here. We'll talk about Joe Thomas's career and just talk about all the craziness that happened there and that sort of thing. So we'll see. Hey, I want to tell you a joke. I heard a joke today. I want to tell this joke because I don't want to forget to tell this joke. And I'm like, oh, look at that, man. Andres Jimenez just automatically out of the 2-hole.
Look at, you know what? I know this isn't living the guard life, but pre-show, Jacob and I were talking about, I literally just said to him, I wonder how Andres is going to do in the 2-hole. And with his first at-bat in the 2-hole, you are knocking Stephen Kwan home. It's going to be a good night.
It's that's great. So I want to tell you this joke before I forget this joke. It's hilarious. I heard it from Jason Kelsey told this story. He said back when he was telling this with his brother on their New Heights podcast, which is fantastic. And he said, at the time, this is when Doug Peterson was the head coach of the Eagles. And he said they used to do they used to make the rookies come up and sing and things like that. And it actually ended up turning into this, what did he say? Talent show. So they would just go up there and just tell jokes and do things. He said it was a fullback. He didn't say the guy's name, but he said this was the funniest joke he's ever heard. And he said there's 3 guys, right? And this one guy says, man, I'm really fast. I think I'm the fastest man alive. So they call Guinness. They go out. He runs a 40. They time him. They take a picture. They send it to the Guinness Book of World Records. The second guy says, man, I'm really tall. I think I'm the tallest man alive. So they get the measuring tape out. They measure him. They take a picture, send it in the Guinness Book of World Records. Last guy says, hey, I got a really small dick. I think it's the smallest in the world. And so they get the ruler out. They take a picture. And they send it to the Guinness Book of World Records. Well, a couple of weeks later, this would be a great time for my internet to go out. A couple of weeks later, they all get letters, you know. First guy opens the letter and he gets it out and he reads it and he says, I'm the fastest man alive. That's awesome. You know, it's okay, cool. The second man opens his letter and he looks at it and he says, oh shit, I'm the tallest man in the world. The third guy goes and he opens it up and he says, who the hell is Doug Peterson?
Oh no.
Yeah.
Making that joke about your head coach? Oh no.
I cannot. I have no idea how Doug Peterson took that joke, but I thought it was the funniest thing I had heard in a long time. And I was like, I'm getting on a podcast here in a couple of minutes, and I'm telling that joke.
How does the team react? Like, do you laugh?
You have to.
I feel
everybody's got to laugh. Like you might get cut the next day, but everybody's got to laugh
in the moment. Hey, you got a memorable laugh out of it, obviously.
So we are about a week into training camp. First, like full bore practice was on Sunday. They didn't do a walkthrough last Saturday when they got to the Greenbrier. They practiced Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. We're off Wednesday. Practiced today. I thought they were going to be in pads. They weren't. I thought somebody had told me they were. Maybe that's tomorrow. But they were off. They practiced again today. You're seeing it, especially these last 2 days. You've seen them start to ramp up the process. Really, you can tell like Saturday. Well, Saturday was a walkthrough, but on Sunday and Monday, you can see they're running probably 50% speed, you know, things like that. And you're like, okay, they're getting there. Mm-hmm. Well, you can see it really ramping up today, and especially, and we've had no shortage of highlight plays. But one thing, I saw Quincy Carrier tweet this out earlier, and I thought it was really important, where he kind of said, you notice how he said something along the lines of this is what it looks like to watch good football. And his point was you're seeing highlights from the offense and the defense. You're not seeing like one side of the ball just run it down the other throat, which sometimes can be good, but also is probably bad. And granted, Casey Kinnaman chimes in. He says that tomorrow's the padded practice. Okay, great. I thought it was today and tomorrow. But you're seeing it both sides. Like I thought Watson, from a lot of the clips I saw today, I saw a lot of like really positive plays from Deshaun Watson. Like threw a pick six in today as well from Martin Emerson. So it's like as many good as you're seeing on one side, you're seeing good on the other as well. And that, I think the way Quincy Carrier wrapped it up on Twitter is it just shows that we may finally be right about this roster.
You know, I started out with Browns camp reports pretty naively when I was younger. And when reports would come out that would say, there's nothing to worry about here. The defense is typically ahead of the offense. If I had a nickel for every time they sugarcoated that the offense sucked to start camp, I'd have a lot of nickels. Yeah. So I'm just saying it is really exciting. I think that's something that stands out from camp is that there are a lot of highlight plays, especially it seems on offense. And you're right. The defense has definitely made some too. But I think it's just exciting because people are outside of this fan base, you might look at clips that we've seen from camp and be like, well, what's so special about that? But if you are a Browns fan, you know how clips have looked in previous years and you know how they look now. And I think there's a noticeable difference. And something that's really interesting to me is because Amari Cooper had that tweak and has been missing time, I think it was a really real point of intrigue of like what receiver is going to really stand out, because without Amari, there's a lot of opportunity there. And I think we can both agree that it has been Elijah Moore, hands down. A lot of what we saw from OTAs, a lot more here to start camp. And I'm thrilled about it.
Yeah, Amari goes down with just some minor tweak, as you said, that they've really not categorized as anything. So, yeah. And it could be coach speak, but you know, I also didn't see any clips of like what happened to think it's anything more than what they're telling me, but they could be lying. I don't know. I guess we'll see it some other time. But yeah, opportunity, especially Marquise Goodwin sidelined with the blood clots. Hoping for the best for him. Like I would love Marquise Goodwin to be on the field this year, but like if that's going to potentially cost him his life, like, which is what it sounds like, then I get it, bro. But to start off, we'll start off with Elijah Moore, just because Elijah Moore's been cooking, guys. Like, I've got notes here. Where's my notes? Elijah Moore lining up absolutely everywhere continues. We're about to get pads on tomorrow. So you're looking at that as, okay, now can you do it when there's contact, right? Like, and there's some contact, through some of these unpadded practices, because it's kind of hard to not to be completely contactless, but really putting on pads and really going at it. We're going to start to see some more things in the next couple of days, leading up to the Hall of Fame game 1 week from tonight. But you continue to see the things that Elijah Moore was praised for coming out, the things on tape when he has gone well, when things were going well in New York. You're seeing it all here. This is a dude that he's a better route runner than you think he is. He gets in and out of his breaks really clean. He has great explosion off the line of scrimmage. He has the long speed, but he has the short area burst and agility and acceleration that can really create impossible situations for defensive backs. Like, you've seen him in the slot, you've seen him as the running back, you've seen him as out wide. I just wrote an article today. It has not published yet, but I wrote it earlier today, where I was predicting the stats of the wide receiver room. And I didn't include Marquise Goodwin just because I don't know if he'll, play or not. So I kept the other five, the top five. And I put Elijah Moore to get 30 plus carries this year. I think he'll get those opportunities as a running back as well as a wide receiver. And it's that shorter area quickness and acceleration where it's like, he's not just a go guy, but he can be. He can be that vertical threat that they have missed for years, but he's also that guy that you get him the ball in space so that he can create. And we're seeing that. And there's no better play than the touchdown he had on Denzel Ward. Did you see this touchdown he had?
Yes, I did. It was a double move, if I'm not mistaken.
It was a double move. But do you realize how bad? Like, listen, Elijah Moore slipped and fell, got up, and still caught the touchdown on Denzel Ward. That's how. Do you realize how bad you have to beat someone on a route, especially someone of Denzel Ward's caliber, to be able to slip, go down to a knee, get back up, and still catch the ball?
And no buts about it. Like, Deshaun placed that ball really well, and I think that's something that really has stuck out to me so far. Is just there's not just a ton of bombs, and there are those pretty just long tosses, but there's a ton of threading the needle going on. And I know we're going to get into Deshaun and how he looks, but I think to your point, Jacob, about where Elijah Moore's lining up, I listened to a quote that Fred Greetham posted today, and they asked Elijah about basically how he felt about lining up inside, outside, that type of thing. And he said, well, when he was learning the wide receiver position in Florida, they didn't teach inside and outside. They didn't emphasize it like that. They just emphasized the skills of playing a wide receiver. And so his answer, I don't have the direct quote for you right in front of me, but his answer essentially was, whatever this team needs me to do, I'll do it. And if I'm not good at it, I'm going to work on it every day until it's one of my favorite things to do. And I was so excited about that answer because, when Elijah Moore came to Cleveland, there was definitely some questions about his time in New York and maybe, his commitment there and that type of thing. And I think there's been a lot of insights from player quotes so far, and I'm sure we'll get into more of them tonight, but it really feels like Elijah is committed and open to whatever this team's going to ask him to do, and just excited for the opportunity that he's being given. And I don't think you could ask for much of a better situation than basically the vibes and the mentality that Elijah's giving you with those types of comments.
And I think, and there's a bunch of questions and comments off to the side, guys. We will jump on those in just a second after I get through this thought, because I don't want to lose it. There was a quote about his body language, just talking about, I saw it on Twitter, just like, you can feel like his happiness is genuine. Like, it is there. Like, he is happy for this fresh start. He is happy to be where he is. Obviously, he'd be okay still being in New York if he was with Aaron Rodgers, but the situation in New York that he was coming from, yeah, this is an upgrade. And with the other guys on that roster, I think if you are looking at this and you say, who is the most physically gifted wide receiver on this roster, it's Elijah Moore. And I don't think it's close. Now, is he the best wide receiver? Right. Now, Amari's a better route runner. Amari's more proven. He's more consistent, all of that stuff. But if you're talking about physical talent, physical gifts, as it comes to a pass catcher, not counting David Njoku, because he's probably very close because of his physical makeup. But
he's a god.
Yeah, we know he's the exception to everything else we talk about. Okay, yeah. And so he, it's without question he's the most physically gifted, and you're seeing that, and like Greg Newsome raved about him a couple of days ago. I think it was after so they were off Wednesday, so it was after Tuesday's practice. Greg Newsome raved about it, talking about his work ethic, talking about just his ability. And I think the first thing that comes up is the work ethic, because like you said, there was these questions about how things ended in New York. Mm-hmm. Okay, is he disgruntled? Is he still going to be disgruntled? Is he that kind of guy that might not start out disgruntled, but will get disgruntled? And obviously, we're not into the season. He could get disgruntled this year. We've seen it happen quicker than anything else. But with what you can do right now in July, as we hit towards the end of July, he is saying and doing all the things. And it's not just him saying it. It's teammates saying it. It's media people that have nothing to gain. It's people going, you don't have to talk about Elijah Moore unless you're asked about him. But, if you're bringing it up, I think that says something. And I'm the biggest Elijah Moore stan there is. You're not going to find one bigger. There's plenty of big ones out there. Jeff Lloyd might be bigger than me. He went out. Listen, Jeff, he several weeks ago, maybe even a month plus ago, was like, Elijah Moore's leading the team in catches. And like he had that before me. I didn't even go, and I'm kind of leaning. I think he's right. But like, it's also because Amari's not on there. So take some of those things with a grain of salt because Amari's not out there.
Sure.
But we saw this when Amari was out there. So I think, man, I said it. I was on Sports for CLE yesterday on Cleveland.com, and I said he's the linchpin, man, because if he can do what we think he can do, he makes every single person on that offense's job easier.
Yeah, you know what? I don't think that the Browns have had this type of versatility as well. And I think that's really what is shining out to me from Elijah Moore early. And I know it's camp. I know that they weren't in pads today, but we know for a fact that those corners in the secondary are really skilled. And so when you see the defense and the offense kind of going back and forth like that, I think it's really encouraging. And just the way that we have listened to the comments, you can tell that the players are genuinely excited. And I think that's so important about it. There's insights into kind of where the mentality of the team is. And people have asked, like, is Kevin Stefanski going to be able to get this team where they need to be? And I just think from a mentality perspective, based on what they're saying, I'm really encouraged.
Well, and MC even points out in that situation, it was great coverage by Ward. It was. He just got beat.
I got to say, Casey, this is just, I love the fun.
All the nickels. Who are we the most excited to watch next Thursday?
Ooh, I have an answer. Cedric Tillman, Dorian Thompson-Robinson. I don't care what the over is. I don't care what the over is on Cedric Tillman's receiving yards. I'm taking it.
You dick.
High school teammates. Cedric.
Jalen Darden. I'm excited to watch Jalen Darden.
Ooh, didn't you pick him to make the roster?
I did.
Ooh. Did he catch a bomb today?
He did. He caught a very pretty ball, a really pretty ball. And you know what he did? He did it while getting vertical. Actually, he's done that multiple times this week, but he had a really big one this week. I like this comment here. I think Jordan Elliott might be a better Ferrari than a dump truck. Oh, God, yes.
I hope so.
If he's anything, it's not going to be a dump truck. Like, it's just not what he does.
Or do we want to be a Ferrari or a dump truck?
I want him to be a Ferrari because I think he's a pass rusher.
Okay, that's fair.
So I want him to be a Ferrari. The Hall of Fame game will be on TV. I believe it's NBC. Is that right?
I can tell you. Just give me a second.
I'm not sure about the ceremony. I do believe the ceremony's on NFL Network, actually. I think the ceremony's on NFL Network. I'm not sure about the. I know the game. I know they will both be on TV. Yes.
NBC. So the
NBC.
Jets Browns is on NBC.
It's usually NBC because even though it's Thursday night, it's always the Sunday Night Football crew that does the. You know what I mean? And that's NBC. So that's usually how that is.
I'm really excited about that. I think the Browns are one of the perfect teams to have an extra preseason game because not only do you have Josh Dobbs, but you also have Dorian Thompson-Robinson. So you've got two quarterbacks that are – we saw what Dobbs did in the preseason last year. That's going to be fun. And I think DTR's got a lot that he's going to try and show off too. They're going to give him playing time because I know we might be skipping ahead of camp real quick here, but we haven't seen Kevin Stefanski play – the veterans a whole lot in the preseason. So I'm expecting a heavy dose of the young guys, and I'm excited. I think that's going to be a lot of fun.
I don't know if you'll see Josh Dobbs. I kind of think you're only going to see DTR and Kellen Mond. I think for the Hall of Fame game. You might see Dobbs for a couple of them, but it's like this like freebie game. And it's funny because it's kind of hard. It's always been hard to gauge Kevin Stefanski when he talks.
Yeah.
But I just kind of get the vibe that it's going to be players that wouldn't get as much playing time if there was only 3 preseason games this year. Like that's what it feels like. Mm-hmm. And it feels like the rookies are going to get some play. Maybe some of them won't, but like Cedric Tillman, Siaki Ika, I think you're going to in DTR especially Cam Mitchell, guys like that. I think you're going to see those guys play quite a bit more than normal. So I just don't think it's going to be I don't think it'll be super entertaining. And I think most people understand that. And by entertaining, I mean, there might be some bad football. It's still going to be entertaining because I'm still going to watch it and I'm going to evaluate and I'm going to like it. But it might have some of the XFL feel to it, maybe.
I am here for all of the Hassan Hall content that I can get.
Hey, he's got a real shot, man. Like, I haven't seen anything from him in camp, but you can't really see, until you put pads on, you really don't know dick about offensive line, defensive line, or the running game. Like, I don't care. You can be like, oh, look, he hit that hole. Yeah, great. He hit that hole with no one actually trying to take his head off. So, and I said that before. We've been at practices before. Actually, both. We did see a padded practice last year. But the first 2 years ago when we were at practice and we did a show right after it, and then last year, the first practice we went to, we're both unpadded. Mm-hmm. And I'm watching it and it's like, I feel pretty good about the corners. I feel pretty good about evaluating the quarterback, the wide receiver, the tight ends, even though I still think you can't fully evaluate them either. Because corners aren't trying to take people's heads off and knocking balls out of their hands with contact because they can't. In the hall, without pads on. So but you can still look at it and go, oh, this guy looks good, or this guy looks comfortable, or this guy looks like it's too fast for him. And if it's too fast for him, training camp, I got news for you. But yes, you can't evaluate some of those things. But what you can see right now, I'm intrigued.
I think that the most important thing I'm seeing right now is what I was talking a little bit about earlier, is you are seeing so many different iterations of Deshaun Watson threading the needle on these passes and really showing comfort and he knows where the ball's going, and the offense looks way so much more coordinated than what we
just look comfortable. I think comfort is the word.
Comfort's the word, I think. And the more that grows, I think we've seen it in just the workout videos and that kind of thing, but now it's starting to translate onto the field when you've got guys actually covering, and that is the most exciting part, because those timing things, those anticipation throws, that type of thing where you're fitting it into a small window, and I love that Akins catch today where he just went up and got it. That was exciting too. You forget that guy's big. Was it 6'4", 6'5"?
I think he's 6'5".
There are so many potential mismatches on this offense.
He's a big dude.
Between him and Njoku,
he's 6'4". He's 6'4", 250.
Okay, I mean that's a bit like there's just
we talked about it.
Yeah, and you're not playing with Amari Cooper and Marquise Goodwin, and you're still your offense. You're completing these beautiful passes. I'm okay. I did not know how I was going to come off this show. The more I talk about it, the more excited I get, Jacob. I can't help it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, one thing for me, with Jordan Akins, we've talked about it before. And what you saw today, it wasn't a red zone rep, but you see, Casey chimes in and says they mossed him. Yeah, he did. That's the definition of getting mossed.
Yes, sir.
And it's just what it does is it shows you what we've talked about. I've written about this a few times. We've talked about it in the show. He's just such a great red zone target when the field shrinks. And I understand in this situation, that wasn't a red zone throw, but that's a play you see in the red zone. That's a play you see when you're on the 15-yard line. You throw it up for your big 6'4", 250-pound tight end who jumps like he's 220 pounds. So what are you going to do? You're going to cover him with a linebacker? I hope not.
Good luck with that.
If you're going to cover him with a corner, he's going to get mossed. I mean, I get it. That wasn't Denzel Ward. That wasn't Greg Newsome. That wasn't Martin Emerson. I get all of that. But you're seeing what he can do. Will he do? How often will it happen? We'll have to see. Mm-hmm. But you're seeing those highs, what those highs can be. And you're seeing it from both sides. And my God, is that awesome. My God, is it you're man, I'm an offensive guy. And I'll never sugarcoat it. There have been times in my life where when playing Madden, I simulate the defense.
Wow.
Especially if I turn the ball over, I turn the ball over on a 4th down or something like that, I'm like, no, I want the ball back. And I don't even care, I just sim until I get the ball back. Even if they score, I don't care. But it's I've always been an offensive guy. But when you're watching it, it's I don't want just the offense to dominate because then I'm worried that our defense stinks. Now, it might not be that. It might just be the offense is really, really good. But I've seen this movie before, and I don't like it. So we're going in this place, and you're okay, real quick, before we get into some of the other stuff that we've seen, there's 2 comments that I wrote down, 3 comments that I wrote down. 2 are from Andrew Berry, and 1 is from Kevin Stefanski from their pressers. Now, again, we've said this a million times. These guys don't give away dick. They're not giving you anything to run home with, to be oh my God, did you see what Kevin said? They are very, very close-tipped. Barry was asked about defensive tackle, and he said that they will be reevaluating it in the middle of camp. I thought that was significant because they're saying, hey, yeah, we get what's going on here, especially because they released Perion Winfrey, which is a guy they should have released him sooner. We talked about this on the 53-man roster prediction last week. They probably should have released him sooner when that domestic situation was going on down in Texas or wherever it was earlier this offseason. But they didn't, which tells you they were hoping they could figure something out with it.
Yeah.
They were holding out hope. Rather they should or shouldn't have, and I don't think they really should have, but they did.
If they felt confident about their defensive tackles, there's no way they would have put up with what was going on with Perion Winfrey to this point.
Right, especially this offseason.
Yeah.
Especially going through this and adding what they've added. But I think it's significant because they cut ties with him. But we talked about Tristan Hill and we've talked about Maurice Hurst as these guys that are kind of lottery tickets that they are hoping can capitalize. Tristan Hill's got – both of them have talent. Hill's got some maturity issues going on, and Hurst is a guy that just can't stay healthy. Yep. So you're looking at those 2 situations. You're like, okay, what can we do? And I've said it. And when Perion Winfrey, I saw other people saying sign somebody today, and and I'm of that train too. And then the more I thought about it, I'm like, they're not going to. They're going to see if they have something in Hurst or Hill. They're going to look at these things first. And I even said that. I was like, I think this is what they're going to do. So I think it's really important because they also pointed out, he said, like, we're not going to get through camp. We're going to look at it in the middle of camp. So we're going to give these guys a couple of weeks. We're going to give them a couple of preseason games, probably the Hall of Fame and the first preseason game. And then we're going to be like, should I sign a Shelby Harris? Should I sign, Matt Ioannidis? Should I sign, one of these guys at this point? I think they're going to reevaluate. So I think that's important. So keep your eyes on those guys in these next couple of, especially next week, and see what happens there.
Like, I think it's probably better to give Hurst and Hill as much evaluation, because if you bring another guy in now, that's that much less evaluation time that you can have with them, right? Because you got to split reps more. So you give them as much chance as humanly possible to say, hey, we're the guys that are going to stick around on your roster. The answer's already here. And so I like that. And I think you benefit even more from having that extra preseason game because you have one more time than basically everybody else except the Jets to evaluate these guys.
Right. Especially in a position where there's a potential to have to do something else. Mm-hmm. Another comment that DeJuan Jones showed up at a good weight like he was asked. So that was a thing about why he fell, about some issues with his conditioning at mini camps and OTAs and the workouts that have gone on before training camp. And they talked about wanting him to be at a good weight. He was asked to be at a good weight, and Kevin Stefanski said he came in at it. Same thing with JOK. Comments were made, and JOK looked bigger. He looks bigger. He looked like Tarver specifically was talking about like him not having enough size, like him not being big enough to hold up, and they're worried about his health in all of the things that goes with being a linebacker and being that size. He shows up at a good weight. He looks good. Can he hold it? Can he maintain it through the dog days of summer? Well, we're going to find out. But step one, getting there, has happened for both players. Now we're waiting to see if they sustain it. And the final comment was AB really talked about progress from Jerome Ford as a pass protector. That's huge.
Yeah.
If you're a third down back, you have got to be able to pass protect. He hasn't been put in a lot of situations in college or the preseason to really pass protect. But not only are they have faith in Ford, man. Like the comments show it. They're going to let him still do kick returns, and not adding anyone else really shows what they think about Jerome Ford. But the fact that AB made a comment about the pass pro, those are the things that you have to do. Those little, he's got to be able to catch the ball and run the ball, but you got to be able to pass pro if you're this, because you're one snap away from being the starting running back, and you're at least the third down guy that's going to get a lot of opportunities and need to pass protect in situations. So the fact that they've talked about it and clearly have focused on it, I think that was very noteworthy.
Well, early in the off season, I was talking about Jerome Ford, and personally, because a lot of people have talked about, are the Browns going to bring in another running back? Are they going to go the veteran route? That there's a few options we talked about, like Jerick McKinnon, I think was a name that we had floated around for a while. And I think there could be good answers there. But I was talking earlier this offseason, what if Jerome Ford's just the answer? I know he had a quiet rookie season, but you've got Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt on that roster. You've got Dearness Johnson on that roster, guys that have been there and been reliable for you before. So there's not going to be a ton of opportunity. But guys come in. We saw Isaiah Pacheco come into the Chiefs last year as a 7th round pick and just do everything that they could have asked.
I love that dude. He's like tiny. Like when you see him, you're like, we got a pair of Naylor ribbies, baby.
I'm a little behind you, so that's
I'm sorry.
Oh, that's okay. It's okay. It's gonna be a great Guardians night.
We're just Naylering it up.
Oh my. Oh, Josh Naylor just ripped it to right field. That looks like that's at least a double for him.
It is a double.
Guardians looking energized. If they win tonight, they'll be above 500 again. I'm really excited about that.
Are they back to? I didn't realize they were. I thought they were still a game under.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys. We like baseball too.
But I just, you know what?
I was gonna say, what the hell were we talking about?
So with Jerome Ford, it's like I feel like
Oh, yeah.
every year there's a running back that gets drafted, even on day 3, that ends up coming into the NFL as a rookie, contributing, being significant, and being good, like far outperforming. I feel like of all the positions you could draft later in the draft, the most production I feel you could get is most like the most likely production you're going to get is from a running back, because it just that they are the deepest position you can get those guys all over the draft.
It's why the market's non-existent for them right now, which sucks.
Yeah. Well, I mean, was it 2 weeks ago now? 3? I'm not sure how many weeks it's been, but we were talking about it and we said Dalvin Cook's still a free agent, Ezekiel Elliott, Kareem Hunt, guys that
Some of those guys haven't even gotten visits.
Significant free agent running backs that are just jobless right now. And so my point in saying that is just it's such a deep pool. So why couldn't Jerome Ford be your running back too? Your answer, just because he didn't have opportunity last year doesn't mean he isn't capable. And so the way the Browns are talking about him and the way he played in college, I feel like he could be that guy.
I got to ask Drew a question over here. Drew says he hopes everyone's enjoying their brownies tonight. You talking about the football team? Or are you talking about the snack? Because if you got brownies and you're holding out on me.
I'll tell you what, Evita made brownies last week and we just.
She's holding out on me?
You can come up and have a brownie anytime you want, friend.
I'm not
chocolatey delicious.
I'm not even. Anyway. Oh, dude, I love Jerome Ford. I'm really excited. You know, a name that's buzzing again. Dalen Baldwin's had a good little bit of a run this week. We got a walk. He said both. Drew said he's talking about both kinds of brownies.
Okay.
I like
Drew.
it.
Absolutely.
I like it. I have these cream fruit bars, popsicles. They're pretty good. Dalen Baldwin getting some run, and you talk about 2 wide receivers being out. Jalen Darden is a guy that I like a lot, and now all of a sudden he said Athens Dayton is a bit of a drive. Yeah, that's where Drew is at. He's over in Dayton, and it's. I like Jalen Darden a ton. We've seen him really get some praise and really show that he can be that Marquise Goodwin role, that wide receiver 6, wide receiver 5, somewhere in there. I think he can be one of those guys if they have to be without Marquise Goodwin.
Yep.
Him and Dalen Baldwin. I think Jalen Darden and Dalen Baldwin, if you're going to ask me right now, who are 2 wide receivers with just really good opportunities in front of them that have already made some plays in the first week and are probably going to get a lot of run next Thursday, I would say Dalen Baldwin and Jalen Darden have a really good opportunity to, especially if he misses. So, what I think, I don't know. I have tried so hard to figure out what I think happens with Marquise Goodwin, but we just don't have a good enough baseline. Like if somebody gets an MCL sprain, I have a pretty good idea. We, as a collective of football minds around the world, have a pretty good idea of how long that takes.
Yeah.
You know, if he tears his labrum, we have a good idea of what that takes. But we have absolutely no idea. But if he does miss time, let's say he goes on the IR. Let's say he goes on IR and he's going to miss a month. There's at least, if he goes on IR, there's a roster spot to be had. Period.
I feel like the Browns are, this is twofold. Number one, the Browns are very mum when it comes to injuries always, right? So between Amari Cooper and now with Marquise Goodwin, they just always are less, and we are just laying it on the White Sox right now. They always are. So it's hard to know, truthfully.
They always are. I know you were talking about the Browns, but it just sounded like you were saying
it's exciting. Baseball's exciting. And another piece to this is when you consider where the Browns wide receiver situation is right now, you're playing without Amari Cooper right now. And yes, you expect him back, but still that opens up opportunities. You're playing without Marquise Goodwin right now, which obviously opens up opportunities. Anthony Schwartz didn't come back until just recently.
Today.
Right? Today. And then on top of that,
he passed his physical. They activated him today.
Okay. And then on top of that, Mike Woods, who did have some promise last year, is also missing for the year. So if you're looking at teams in camp right now and saying, where are their extra wide receiver opportunities? I think the Browns have to be way up there just because of their situation with the guys that have gone down or are just being held out right now.
Yeah, I mean, snaps are there. Like that's the biggest thing. It's like no matter how good you are, if you don't have the opportunity, like what's gonna, you know what I mean? Yeah. Like if you're not getting snaps, you're not going to get an opportunity. And they're without two guys that have been getting a lot of snaps. And so you're in a position where you're like, okay, we've got some young guys that have shown some interesting spikes in here and there. Mike Harley's still on the roster. That's a fun name out there that could really
Jacob favorite.
Yeah, man. Like I like a lot of these young wide receivers. So that's probably MC asked the question like 40 minutes ago. But to answer your 40-minute-old question, wide receivers, man, I'm a pass guy. I like Mitchell Payton as well, the tight end. Mm-hmm. He's back on the roster for camp, so he'll get some run there.
I gotta say, Jacob, if this situation continues, I feel like your Darden pick could be the game breaker for the roster prediction.
It feels like it. I had him on there with Marquise Goodwin. So like I like doubled down on the Jalen Darden. I just think he's gonna be the punt returner. I think it'll be Jerome Ford and him. Like I think they'll be the two returners. And then Jerome Ford potentially may take less and less just because he may take a bigger role on the offense. And I just don't think – I think you go with the 24-year-old Darden who has shown some flashes as a wide receiver as opposed to Jakeem Grant who's 30 coming off of a torn Achilles. And what could have been – I loved that signing, but you add in that torn Achilles last year and I think it's too much.
I'll say this too, just thinking about camp last year and thinking about what we've seen so far this year. One of the most noticeable struggles Deshaun Watson had last year to me was his deep ball. And I think
there were some rough days.
There were some rough days. The intermediate short, Deshaun was accurate, but deep balls not great. And I think
John Johnson ate him alive that one camp day.
Yes,
he
did.
He ate him alive.
And so then I think a lot of that showed up on tape when you go back. I think it was Kurt Warner who broke down his Washington game and provided some extra insights into just being mechanically shaky. And I think a lot of that has to do when you've got the type of layoff and when you're running an offense you're not comfortable with. I think your mechanics are going to slip up when you start to have to think about things. Yeah. Well, it certainly looks like Deshaun has gained that type of comfort. And obviously if the ball is going where he needs it to, which we're seeing a lot of, now we're not seeing everything. So there still could be some of that. But I think we could collectively agree that we did not see these type of deep balls from Deshaun last year. So that to me speaks to another key piece here is Deshaun getting back to being mechanically sound. Because keep in mind, in his best season, he had a completion rate over 70%, right?
Yeah.
Which was one of like the best or one of the highest completion rates all time.
It's up there. I don't know where it is. It's top 10 probably, I think.
And so very different than the guy that we saw on tape.
For 58% last year.
Yeah, little less good.
Like 58.
So I just between the accurate deep ball, between threading the needle, throwing with anticipation, and going up against your full stable of corners are really good. I just there's a lot to be excited about, Jacob.
Yeah, man, and you're gonna get it. It's gonna start growing next week, especially as even tomorrow, even on Friday when they put the pads on and start cracking pads.
I just thought of another. Sorry, the thoughts are all coming right now, but you know what? We had that whole controversy in the offseason about will Greg Newsome play inside? How is he going to handle that? How are they going to sort out this stuff? And I've seen reports from camp that Newsome has been playing on the inside. I think more often of the three, which makes sense, right? Because Emerson's too big. Emerson's not an inside guy.
He just doesn't have the short area quickness and acceleration.
Yeah, and so when you know that your three best corners are Ward, Emerson, Newsome, and you want to have all three of those guys on the field at the same time. So it's probably pretty encouraging that Newsome's playing inside and maybe accepting that role.
I mean, he kind of alluded to that, and we've had the conversation. You've heard the conversations with him, where it's kind of like it's not the inside; it's what he's being asked to do on the inside. That really was the problem for him. Like, you know what I mean? Like they've talked about, like that was the biggest thing was kind of what exactly he was being asked to do and tasked with. One other thing as we start to wrap this thing up a little bit, Walker and Taki out there is just Taki, especially Walker, not that surprising, but Taki not going on PUP like right away, not going on the non-football injury list or the PUP or whatever, in any of those injury lists that exist, because there's like 8 of them, and not going on that. And I understand he's not going full bore, and I understand that nobody has pads on, so, and he's not doing every drill. But you saw the other day him and Walker go through individual drills for the first time since their injuries, and in a linebacker room that is not loaded by any imagination, your top 2 players, JOK's somewhere in there, but your top 2 middle linebackers, I should say, your top 2 mics are healthy enough to do some sort of practicing with it, and they're getting some work on the sidelines and things like that. I just think it's significant, man. I wrote about it. I've talked about it on Twitter and things like that, but 2 very important pieces that you just don't know. Because like that's been the question about the linebacker room, right? Like you're looking at it and you're like, are these 2 guys here? Because if these 2 guys are here, it's not a terrible room. But if those 2 guys aren't there, you know, and now it looks like those 2 are potentially going to be there. And
that's really good news, because I'll tell you what, there is some really just upsetting news coming out from around the NFL with some of these injuries right now. Like I saw just before we went live, Jalen Ramsey's looking at a December return for the Dolphins. I mean, that's brutal. And we saw, I mean, the whole world stood still for a second when the Joe Burrow video came out today with that calf injury that he was already wearing a compression sleeve on. Garrett Wilson tweaked his ankle today. There's a lot of this stuff that's happening, and you never want to see any players injured. I think collectively from here, we've probably reached that part of the preseason now where we're just going to hold our breath until we get to September 12th?
10th.
We're just going to hold our breath somewhere in there. September something.
It's September 10th.
I'll take your word for it. We're going to be there. Me, you, and Andy in the stands.
I'm like thinking about it. I'm like 90% sure. But then, like you said, the 12th, and I was like, whoa.
It's sometime around. It's the
It's like 40 days, like 43 days or something.
Absolutely. You know what?
Hit the 30.
I feel like the longer we do this, Jacob, the quicker these off seasons go. And I'm so thankful that everybody, you know, we've had all kinds of comments again tonight, and just all the viewers we've been able to grow so much in this off season. And now that we're really, because by the time we're talking to you guys next time, we're going to be just a couple days away from our first preseason game. So we've basically made it through the entire off season.
Just give everybody a round of applause.
Just absolutely.
Great job, everybody.
You guys are here every week with us, week in, week out, through the winter, through ups and downs and the excitement, and just, it is amazing when you think about the fact that we can just do this year round. We can just make football content and talk football year round, and we could not do it without everybody here and everybody that listens. Whether you're with us live or if you're listening to this on Apple, Spotify, wherever you get it, just it means the world to us that we have this opportunity.
Yikes!
As in, what are we yikesing?
I think you'll figure it out in just a second.
Okay, yeah. Well, might be Guardians related.
It is.
Okay, that's that's a lot better than what could have been. Yikes! Oh, well, I did say that Bybee and Savali would give up 4 runs or less combined in their next 2 starts. So we're going to see how that goes.
Yeah.
But either way, we still have 4-1, and it might be we might just be entering a little bit of a really exciting time in Cleveland sports here. I'm amped, Jacob. I'm amped.
Well, our good buddy Mitch showing up with a donation to the channel. We really appreciate it. We do.
Wow. Thank you, Mitch.
Mitch is always around, man. I think Mitch might be coming with us to the training camp.
I hope so.
I need to check on that. I keep forgetting Mitch. I'll get you.
If you don't know Mitch Metz, you should.
I do. I keep meaning to talk to Andy about it because I know we have 4 tickets, and I don't know if somebody else has spoken for that 4th ticket or if we can find another ticket. You know what I mean? Like and I need to figure that out, and I keep not doing that. So, Mitch, I will do that.
Yeah,
do that.
Jacob, do you have any final thoughts, sir?
You know what's weird?
Tell me what's weird.
You will never see your own face. You will only see reflections of it or pictures of it. You'll never see it.
I feel like you can see parts of it.
It's like my nose.
Yeah, that's fair.
You never see your whole face.
Because you could see most of the rest of yourself.
Hey, why do they call it boob sweat and not humidities?
You've really been on point today. I feel like the Browns Kool-Aid's got your brain working. So, with that being said, Mitch, thank you so much for the support. Everyone who joined us, who has been here, our last Barking Browns episode did great view-wise. Thank you to everybody for coming back for some reason. This has been episode 112 of the Barking Browns Show, with 1 episode left before real kinda football. I'm Nick. He's Jacob. Go Browns.
Did you know that an ostrich's eye is bigger than its brain?